Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into an idea that might just mess with how you see everything. From the ground beneath your feet to the watch on your wrist, we're going to explore a pretty radical thought. What if time and space aren't the box that reality comes in, but just another item inside the box?
I mean, really think about it. Our entire lives, right? We're on this one-way street called time, always moving forward. We exist in a world with height, width, and depth. But what if that whole framework isn't as solid as it seems? What if time and space aren't the stage, but just more props on it?
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into this concept of reality itself being a creation. Then, we'll look at what that means for a creator who's got to be outside of it all. After that, we tackle the really mind-bending idea of the alpha and omega. That's going to lead us straight into questions about a known future, and finally, what all this could possibly mean for us and our place in the universe.
All right, let's jump in. The foundational claim from the source material is this: time and space are not the stage where creation happens. No, they are part of the creation itself.
Now, a key piece of evidence for this comes from how the source text lists things. It's not just the obvious stuff like life and death. You got to notice the specific words here: the present, the future, height, and depth. The argument is, these aren't just ideas. They are explicitly named as created things, right alongside everything else.
And this is where a crucial word from the original Korean source comes in, pijeomul. It basically means a created thing, or a creation. And according to this line of thought, time itself, both the now and the later, is a pijeomul. Space, height and depth, that's also a pijeomul, which means they weren't always here. They had a beginning. Somebody or something made them.
Okay, so if time and space are created things, that immediately kicks open a massive door with a huge question on it. What does that tell us about the creator?
The whole argument really hinges on this bright, bold line drawn in the sand. On one side, you have creation, and on the other, completely separate, you have the creator. They're not the same thing.
And this is the core difference. Creation, or pijimul, that's us, the stars, the planets, and even time itself. It all exists inside of space-time. It has a beginning. It's stuck in the flow of time. But God, the creator, well, that's presented as a totally different story. Not just outside space-time, but completely transcending it. Not just having a beginning, but being the beginning. You see, God isn't being carried along by the river of time. God is the source that the river flows from. So this brings us to the most profound and genuinely challenging idea we're going to talk about. It's a concept that really pushes our human brains to their absolute limit. Trying to imagine God's perspective on all of reality happening all at once.
You've probably heard this before, right? Alpha and omega, the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet. But this isn't just saying God was there at the start and will be there at the end. No, the argument here is way more radical than that.
And there it is. That's the core of it. From a divine perspective that exists outside of our timeline, there is no past, present, or future. It's kind of like, instead of watching a movie one frame at a time, you're looking at the entire film strip laid out in front of you, from the opening credits to the final scene, all in one glance. It all just is, in a single eternal now.
The source points to verses like this one as evidence for that eternal now. I mean, how can you know the end from the beginning? Well, according to this view, it's because from God's vantage point, the beginning and the end aren't separated by billions of years. They're just two coexisting points in a creation that's already finished.
Let's be crystal clear about what this is suggesting. The argument is that God exists before the Big Bang and after the heat death of the universe at the exact same time. For God, the first chapter of Genesis and the last chapter of Revelation are happening in the same moment. The entire 13.8 billion year history of our universe is perceived in what amounts to a single instant.
All right, so if all of time is a single, complete thing from God's point of view, what in the world does that mean for us, down here, living our lives second by second? What does it mean for our future?
And this is where this whole theological idea gets really, really personal. Because if the future is already a known thing to God, are our choices just an illusion? How can you possibly have both free will and a pre-known, finished story? So the source material lays out a specific logic to try and solve this puzzle. Step 1. It all starts with a divine plan, something set up before creation even existed. Step 2. As part of this plan, God knows everything, every single choice anyone will ever make. And this leads to step 3, which is the really challenging part. The argument is that God orchestrates history by placing the exact person he already knows will make the right choice into that precise moment to make sure the plan works. So the idea is that our choices are real, but they are also already known and woven into this pre-existing divine tapestry.
And this idea of a huge, overarching, eternal purpose is tied to verses just like this one. It suggests that the entire sweep of history, including every choice you or I will ever make, fits into a divine framework that was there from the very beginning.
Okay, whoa, we have been way out there in some pretty abstract territory. So let's bring it all back home and boil this down to the key takeaways from this whole way of looking at reality.
So, to recap the whole argument we've unpacked, our reality, our time and space, is a created thing, a pajumo. The creator isn't stuck in it. He experiences every moment of it all at once. And because of that, our future isn't some foggy, unknown possibility to God. It's a story that's already finished. And inside that finished story, every single choice we make is already known and perfectly accounted for in the plan.
Ultimately, this framework paints a picture of a universe that's completely authored and intimately known, where the future isn't uncertain at all, but is, from a divine point of view, already complete. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. If the end of your story is already written, how does that change the way you live today?